Welcome back. It's been much too long. Again, my name is Danae, and I am walking through a 12-step program for people that are food addicts. So we often hear about alcohol addiction and drug addiction, but rarely do we hear about food addiction. And so I'm here to speak up, and I'm here to do that. Today we're going to focus on the first step, and that is admitting that you are powerless against food. That is hard. It's definitely incredibly hard because we are taught through the media, through our culture in the U.S. especially, that it's based on willpower. That if you are committed enough, that you can lose weight. If you just try harder, you can lose weight. If you just work out more, you can lose weight. And it's all weight loss focused. It's all about becoming a smaller size. It's all about becoming media's idea of what's beautiful. And very rarely is it about becoming healthy, and not just physically healthy, but emotionally and spiritually healthy. So I have with me a book that I have been reading, and kind of what we're going to base our program off of, our 12 steps together that we're going to go through. And it is called 12 Steps for Overeaters. It's a very well used book. This book pertains specifically to binge eaters and to overeaters. Not everyone that is a food addict, though, binge eats. Not everyone that is a food addict overeats. Some people have a food addiction and it doesn't portray itself physically. Some people don't binge eat. Some people are simply addicted to processed food or addicted to sugar, and no matter what they do, they can't stop eating it. So we're going to walk through these 12 steps together, focusing on the first one today. And I want to let you know that whether you are a food addict like myself, and you find yourself significantly overweight, like me, I weigh 320 pounds. I have not weighed since our last video. I am going to wait and to do that. But you can find my measurements on my Tumblr blog. So, yeah, whether you find yourself my size or larger, or not my size at all, this is still for you. If you find that you are a compulsive eater, if you find that you use binging and purging, or just binging, or simply use a facet of food to medicate yourself emotionally, to dampen feelings and to heal yourself, then this is definitely for you. You can walk through these with me and we can do it together. Food addiction doesn't look like any one thing. When you see me walking down the road and all 320 pounds of me, you can see that I have a problem. It is blatant and apparent. I don't get the privilege that alcoholics and drug addicts get. Well, some, hiding my addiction. It is wide out there in the open, and I can just walk down the street and people say, that chick has a problem. She's fat. She's disgusting. She overeats. And I do not think that I am disgusting. I am fat. I guess we use that as a term. I'm fat. Realistically, I have an excess amount of fat. It's not a term I'm afraid of. It just is, I guess. It doesn't define who I am. It's just a descriptive term, and it's an accurate one. I have a significant amount of excess fat that's unhealthy. So yeah, first step, as I get back on track, the first step is admitting that you're powerless against food. Now, in my fancy little book here, the first step in AA is we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and our lives had become unmanageable. And the first step for food addicts is we admitted that we were powerless over food and our lives had become unmanageable. Now let me tell you what brought me to the point of deciding that my life was unmanageable. I am a very strong-willed individual. I'm intelligent. I'm driven. I always end up in management. I do not stop at okay or good. I want to be the best of the best. And I take that approach everywhere in life. It's not always a good thing. Sometimes it's a little intense. But for the most part, it's something that I pride myself on. Now, I have always thought that if I really wanted to control food, my eating problem or my weight gain or my relationship with food, I thought that I could. I had convinced myself, I had rationalized and convinced myself that when the time came, when the time was right, that I would gain that willpower, that I would have my aha moment, and I would own my food issues. I would no longer eat too much. I would no longer be the victim of my sugar binges. I would be cured, and it would happen one day. And I have spent a very, very long time, years and years, a decade maybe, just waiting for that moment, just looking for it. And events that would happen in life, I would say, oh, is this my aha moment? Is this it? Like being asked if I was pregnant when I am definitely not pregnant. Or being ridiculed when I'm going for a walk outside. One time I had a can of soda that was full thrown at my head by people passing by as I was going for a walk and working out, and they would yell at the door, "Fatty!" They actually drove back, and it was an older and a younger brother, and the older brother made the younger brother apologize to me, which was even more mortifying. But we all have these moments. I even thought, when I meet the man of my dreams, when I meet my future husband, I'll lose weight. Or I'll lose weight when I decide it's time to have children because I don't want to be overweight and pregnant. That's hard on the baby. That's not something that is healthy. That's hard on me too. So when that time comes, then I'll do that. But I met the man of my dreams and I married him, and I got pregnant. All the while, my weight, I'm still not in control. I'm still not healthy. I didn't eat healthy, although I would tell myself, because I didn't eat a lot of processed food, that I was. My definition of processed food is just like fast food, prepackaged food, things like that. I would tell you that I was a healthy fat girl. And I think as far as you can be healthy and morbidly overweight, I am. But that can only last so long, and there are a million things that I can't do physically that I want to do because of my weight. And there are a million ways that I am held back emotionally because of my addiction. Not even because of my size, but because of my addiction. So I kept waiting for my aha moment, and my aha moment never came. And after the birth of my second son, I just started eating like crazy. I got on antidepressants, and they were supposed to be the kind that don't make you gain weight because they were careful about me gaining more weight. But I got on them. They turned me into a zombie, and I just stopped caring about anything. Granted, I wasn't sad anymore, but I wasn't happy either. So I decided to stop taking them, and all the feelings came all at once, and I just shoveled food into my mouth. If there was a delicious treat in our house, I would eat it until it was gone. There was no self-control. There was nothing. It was a whole new level of a loss of control that I had not yet experienced, and I was terrified. I spent every day terrified because I was eating myself to death, and I could feel it, and I knew it, and it didn't matter that I knew it. It didn't matter that I could identify it. I still did it. I would go to the fridge to have a cheese stick, and I would end up drinking, my children's juice and leftovers from last night, and every piece of bread product that I could find, with cream cheese. Like, it became awful. And I realized that I was screwed. I realized that nothing that I did, no diet plan that I started, no shakes that I made, no changes that I had decided stuck. Everything fell apart. You know, it's interesting. They say that like an alcoholic's addiction progresses, so does a food addict's. So what might not start out so bad in the beginning ends up getting more and more and more and more and more out of control until you find yourself over here just spiraling out of control, no idea what to do. That was me. So that is when I realized that I was powerless, that my willpower was not enough to conquer it. And they say that you can't just accept that up here. Because I can know, yeah, sure, yeah, I'm out of control. But you have to accept that in your gut. You have to accept that in your heart. You have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you have tried 5 million things and you are stuck and it's just getting worse, and the harder you try to fix it, the worse it seems to get, and you don't want to live like this anymore. You can't. So you finally admit in your gut, in your soul, that you're powerless, and that no willpower that you possess is going to change this situation, that you need something bigger, you need something more, and you need something permanent. And yeah, so you also the book talks about letting go of circumstances. So just like thinking that, you know, when I get married, you know, I'll lose weight because I'll finally be loved no matter what. Or when I have children, I want to be a good example, so I'll lose weight. So you let go of those circumstances that you think would change your addiction, your eating disorder, your unhealthy relationship with food. You stop worrying, like, if my mom hadn't given me a treat every time I fell down, if she didn't teach me that food made you happy, then I wouldn't be in this mess, you know. And you have to let go of those things. For me, I always thought, I'll tell you, it sounds ridiculous now saying it, but I used to firmly believe that when I finally became comfortable talking about my childhood traumas, my being molested as a child, and when I finally was able to talk about the reason that I am the way that I am, the reason I need something to cope like food, that I would get better. Like if I could just vocalize it enough, if I could get comfortable enough with speaking about it, that I would find that healing. And that's not the case. It's not how it goes, you know. I can't just say, hey, I was molested as a child, it was really traumatizing, I can tell you exactly what happened and all the roots it's taken in my life, that will cure me. No, it doesn't. It does start the process of emotional healing for it, but it doesn't suddenly make me not need food to cope. I've used that for 20 years. So there's more there. There's more there to that. Then you also admit that you're powerless over the circumstances that brought you here, and that you're powerless over people, you're powerless over places, and you're powerless over things, and that we have tried to manipulate them to help us fix our addiction. So we thought, oh, you know, once I move out of this shitty apartment and get better roommates that eat better food, I can control this. And did it happen? No, it didn't. You found yourself binging again. Or if I could just save for this weight loss program and become a part of it, that it will change things. And for some people it worked, and for you it didn't, and you find yourself here. So your first step is just letting go. Your first step is just letting go and realizing that you are powerless, that there is no amount of willpower that's going to change your situation. And the hard part is food is a part of your everyday life. It's not like alcohol. You can't just walk away forever. You have to give it up every day. You have to give up. You have to identify your food triggers. Is it binge eating? Is it sugar? Is it fat? Is it caramel popcorn, whatever it is, you need to sit down, have a real moment with yourself, and identify your food triggers and realize that you're powerless against them. And you need to let them go. And every day, you will need to let them go. Because every day you're going to wake up and you're going to eat breakfast, you're going to eat lunch, you're going to eat dinner, and you're going to have to let go of food to cope. And it's hard and it's good. And so I just recommend that if you blog or if you journal, that you write about it, that you write about your first step, that you write about all of your excuses, all of those things that you promised yourself that you would change when you finally got there. You know, all of your circumstances that you knew if you could just alter them, or if you could just change where you live, or if you could just switch friends that aren't, like, because your friends are fat too, like, if you could just change all those things, you would get better. And that's not the case. You need to realize that you're powerless against people. You're powerless against places. You're powerless against things. In Alcoholics Anonymous, they have the 3 C's. You didn't cause it. You can't control it. And you can't cure it. What you can do is admit that you're powerless and follow a 12-step program to recovery. And I guarantee you that as we follow this program, that we're going to find healing emotionally, that we're going to find healing spiritually, and that we are going to find healing physically in our physical bodies. I'll tell you that in my, I have been 9 days, today's day 10, of sobriety, abstinence. I'll call it abstinence, but I call it sobriety as well, without sugar, without flour, and without white potatoes. And I have learned a lot about myself. I have learned that when I give up and surrender to the fact that I'm powerless against food, that I become empowered to make good choices. And that I'm anxious to get on to step 2. It's important, though, that you marinate in your first step, that you really come to terms with it. And I guarantee you that every day you're going to be revisiting that first step and finding out new things about yourself. Every day you're going to be surrendering and admitting that you're powerless in new ways and learning, and it's going to be so, so good. I am excited for you to learn with me. I want that. I want to hear from you. I want to know how you're doing. I want us to support each other. It's going to be badass and hard. They say that you don't come to the 12 steps as a diet plan. It's not a diet plan. That you come here when nothing else works. That you come here when you've hit rock bottom, and that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get better. And I am willing to do whatever it takes to get better. And I am hoping that you have reached that point, that you are able to surrender, if even just a piece today and a piece tomorrow and a piece the next day, that you're willing to surrender and realize that you're powerless and seek healing with me. So yeah, again, my name is Danae, and I am The Food Addict Speaks. You can come visit my blog at Tumblr. It is the-food-addict-speaks.tumblr.com, or you can email me at thefoodaddictspeaks@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. I would love comments, constructive criticism, ideas, struggles. Tell me your story. I want to know it. I want to share it. I want the world to know that we're not alone. I want the world to know that we can find success here. This has been one hell of a long ass video blog, and I apologize for that. But I really feel like we needed it. I really feel like I needed it. So get out your pen and paper, get out your laptop, find a quiet space, take a few moments to deep breathe, and come to terms with your food triggers. Come to terms with those things, those specific food items, or specifically binging and purging, or whatever it is, whatever your unhealthy relationship with food is, and those things that trigger it. Come to terms with those things, and then start working through that first step. and see where that journey takes you. I will see you next time for step 2. And things, the further you get from your addiction, the further down the steps you get, the harder that they become. Step 2 is, I have come to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. That's an interesting one. It is definitely a hot topic and a hot button for some people, but we are going to explore what that means for us. So I invite you to come and watch my next video and participate in our 3rd episode, which is step 2. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from you.